hear the people sing.
Loud noises!
Right. Okay. Whew. I have what is known as DLD. This is my TED Talk. Thank you. What? You mean I gotta put in effort? Fine. I'll tell you what I know. Right, so developmental language disorder, or DLD for short. What can I tell you about it? It's a pretty common disability that not that many people know about. Specifically, about 2 people in every class of 30 have it. Now, originally it was known as specific language impairment, but a couple years ago, yes, that specific year, thank you very much, they decided to change the name to reflect the whole issue a lot better. I didn't think that through, did I? Yeah, whatever. Now, don't get confused with DLD with DID when it's abbreviated, because DID refers to dissociative identity disorder, which refers to multiple personalities and, yeah. So what is DLD? Well, I could tell you, but I'd do a terrible job. And that's kind of the point of it, because DLD impacts the way that I am able to understand and use language. And yes, that took a lot of energy just to say that, but hear me out, I'm not done. So individuals diagnosed with DLD will have DLD for life.
Did you say for life?
Yes, dearie, I think he said for life.
What do you mean you have it for life?
It means you have it for
Well,
life.
these two have been going on about it all day. Please help, I need help. Well, it's not like some cold or flu that will just pass, and neither is it a momentary phase in the development of a child. It's there for life. Once you have it, you can't unhave it. Which kind of sucks since I had a receipt and everything. They lied to me.
Okay, Johnny boy,
Some random person would tell me.
but what is it like living with DLD?
First of all, I'd say my name is not John. Second of all, it's DLD. And finally, I'd say, well, that's a very good question, and you'd have to wait for a long time. Ugh, come on, I used the wrong word. And I'd say, well, you gotta wait a long time for an answer because that's kind of the issue. Let me explain. So trying to understand and process language that is used in any form, be it communication or giving instructions, it is very confusing. Think of it as like trying to understand people speaking in a different language. Like, let's say, for instance, German. These people are speaking in German and you only know half of the actual proper English. Yeah, it sounds like a nightmare. So because of this, certain words and phrases would be very hard to understand. It's kind of like reading a text from your mate and you don't know if they're being serious or they're just joking about. So you're just there staring like, what are you talking about, mate? Wait, are you serious? Oh my goodness, is he okay? Is he okay? Also, just putting it out there as a disclaimer, long instructions are the bane of my existence. Well, so are egg and nuts, because I'm allergic to them, but that defeats the whole purpose. Because long instructions are very hard for me to understand. Since there is a lot of language going on at the same time, I only pick up maybe first bits, maybe last bits, and 1 or 2 things in between, but not the whole phrase, like the average Dave, I'd imagine. Yeah, Dave. You suck, Dave. Why'd you have to be so perfect, Dave? Why must be a superior man like you have such a generic name, Dave? Oh yeah, that reminds me, I do go on tangents a lot. Okay, so imagine, if you will, you have to build a sandcastle. But the gimmick is, the only way you can build a sandcastle is not with your good old bucket and shovels, and not with wet sand that can keep a structure. No, you've got to use your bare hands with dry sand. And not just build it where it is. Oh no, you've got to take that sand and build it somewhere else. Bit of a confusing metaphor, but the point is, words are pretty much like dry sand in your hand, and you've got to hold on to it for so long. So there will be quick paces where I'm going to say some random stuff, and it ultimately mean I'll be going on a random train of thought, like, are these somewhere nice? Ooh, that's a donut. And then other points, it would lead to very awkward pauses as I try to figure out the right words to say, if that makes sense. So yeah, that and long instructions and all that jazz. Musical reference for anyone who cares. Basically means all that stuff being thrown at you when you're only being able to pick out a few key words a lot of the time, which you don't even know the term to. It just means that you kind of overload and you tend to zone out, if you will. Kind of get clouded and you might go on your own train of thought or scenario, then suddenly you're back in reality, not knowing what just happened. It's kind of like Inception, really, but not really. That would be creepy. Yeah, and then some other basic stuff, really. You bundle up words, you kind of live in tip of your tongue a lot of the time, and it just takes forever for you to remember that one word about a shiny, valuable object. Jewel! That was the word! That was the... Man, that was a month ago? Probably. Pretty helps you put into perspective just how helpful and valuable, if you will, the whole aspect of language and communication is. But it's not the end of the world. Yeah, I know it's kind of shocking to believe that, but it's not, honestly. It's not because we're lazy. It's not because it's bad parenting. It's not because we're having to learn 2 different languages. It's just we're trying hard to know and get through what you're asking. But sometimes what you're asking and saying is just confusing for us. But don't use that as an excuse to get out of trouble. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Dave. Though that said, having DLD will not limit your capabilities and possibility to do something amazing. You can still be successful. You can still be very chatty and wise. You can still be humorous and funny. You could definitely be creative. You could still be all these things and not feel like that you are or should feel limited or lesser, if you will. Because DLD doesn't affect intelligence or IQ or capabilities in any of that area, no. I recorded that last bit for I don't know how long. But look, I'm just going to say a bottom line right here. DLD, it's not as well known, but it's a lot more common than you think. So be patient with people when they are trying to get their point across, or when they are trying to understand the words that you mean, or the context or phrases that you're giving to them. If you think you have DLD, or you know someone that has DLD, or maybe have a child that you think may have DLD, that's okay. It'll just mean a little bit more time's needed, and that's okay. Because with the right people, with the knowledge that you can access anywhere, from people, from online resources, and infinitum, whatever that word means. Anyways, just know the stuff is out there, and you're not alone. Yeah? And that's a beautiful thing. Oh, look at me, I'm getting all soft and emotional. This wasn't planned. Can we just cut, please? Just cut!